making wine is like you have all your tools in your belt, options you can do and things you can change. It's about using the right tool and the right amount at the right time. Winemaking shouldn't be a recipe. It should be, I like to sort of guide it in this way, but I think knowing how your tools work and what they do when they need to be used is really important.
What are those little touches you're looking to put onto the wines?
Just a sense of place and a brightness. I think, people these days don't particularly want to be drinking those heavier styles of wine, not all the time. So I think having a sense of brightness and energy in the wine is pretty important as well. For me, wine should be enjoyable now, but also have the ability to age. And I think working in a cool climate, we have that natural acidity. So hence ageability as well.
Today, we're talking to a 2024 Jimmy Watson Trophy winner and 2025 Len Evans Scholar, Jeremy Nascimben from Mount Majura in ACT. I'm Jason.
And I'm Trent. We're on Unapologetically Unprofessional Unfiltered Wine Journey. And thank you, Jace.
Our saying is drink more, try more, learn more. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Jeremy, thank you for joining us.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
It's been a long day and it's been a long drive for you. You came up straight up today, is it?
Yeah. I drove up from Griffith this morning, where I was originally from, and then dropped the wife and kids off in Canberra and straight to Sydney. So bit of driving, bit of miles, but it's okay. All for wine.
Thanks for taking the time and spending some time with us here to share some wine. We've got 4 bottles of Mount Majura that we're super excited to try, and quite a few different varieties, Iberian varieties that I've never had before. Before we get into that and your story, we do want to talk about the partnership that we have with New South Wales Wine. So next month in November is New South Wales Wine Month. It's going to be a jam-packed month of masterclasses, tastings, dinners, an opportunity to meet the winemakers and really celebrate what we love about New South Wales wine. It's going to culminate in a big event, the Sydney Cellar Door event, which will be at the Rocks. It'll be about 40 to 50 wineries represented there, 2 days out in the sun where you get to try New South Wales wines. Is there anything that you think is quite special about this event that you want to call out?
I just think it's pretty cool, the fact that you can go to one place and try the whole gamut of wine that's being made out of New South Wales. I mean, like, you've got regions like the Riverina, the warmer parts of the state. You've got the cooler parts like Orange and Tumbarumba, and to some extent also, Canberra district. So it's just a pretty cool place you can get to try from A to Z from New South Wales.
Yeah. And it's all in walking distance.
Exactly. Not hundreds of kilometres.
That's right. So encourage everyone to go out, check out the different events that are on. Definitely visit the Sydney Cellar Door event on the 8th and 9th of November. It's in partnership with others. So we're partnering with New South Wales Wines, but there's also Dan Murphy's, Sydney Morning Herald, The Rocks, Destination New South Wales, and New South Wales Government. So big event. Go out and check out the wines from there, and you'll get to see some of the great wines like we have here from Mount Majura, representing Canberra district as well.
Sounds like a perfect day, right? Got the best backyard in Australia.
Yeah.
Sydney Harbour, spend it there. Food, wine.
Views of the Opera House. If you want to find out more about the events, go onto the website. So newsouthwaleswine.com.au. It's the month of November, New South Wales wines. And so we want to celebrate New South Wales wines, and Canberra district is a part of that. And so we're going to hear about your story, Mount Majura, taste some wines. Before we do that, we're going to ask you the wind-up icebreaker questions.
You ready?
Oh, yes. Yeah, let's do it.
First one, most memorable wine or most memorable wine moment?
So I've been thinking about this on the way up in the car, because, a couple of hours of thinking. So it's probably,
must be a good answer then.
Yeah. I mean, there's probably 2 wines in my sort of wine career that sort of pinned me as like, wow, this is what it's all about. So early on in the piece, I thought it was a really good idea to get into wine show judging. So trying to get more wine in front of this big nose. Try and taste more and smell more and just learn more about wine. And obviously, as you do with these wine show judging gigs, you have dinners. You go to these dinners and there's usually a theme, and then, people bring along wines and you taste them blind and chat about wine for hours, which is fantastic. One wine that sticks out to me was probably my first ever, wow, champagne is really awesome, was the 04 Veuve La Grande Dame. And it blew my socks off. And now I drink champagne and sparkling wine all day, every day. And probably the second most influential kind of wine that I've had in my life was, I was lucky enough to go and do vintage over in Germany, down in the Baden, so like the southwest part of Germany. And after working a 2 or 3 month stint in the cellar, in the lab, the winemaker was graciously enough to open up a bottle of 1913 fortified muscat. And I just stood there thinking, this wine was made when the World War was pretty much on like, this is nuts. So just the idea about wine having a sense of history, which is just pretty cool. So it's probably the 2 wines that I think are pretty awesome that I've had in my life.
Awesome. Next one. What's the last glass of wine that you had?
So, being originally from Griffith, went back to visit some family the weekend just gone. As you do, you're sitting around the table. What are you going to have for dinner? Pizza. What do you drink with pizza? Sangiovese. So it was actually a Coriol Sangiovese.
Beautiful.
I just think those sort of savoury kind of notes going with the saltiness of pizza. It's awesome.
What's your favourite grape varietal?
Probably Shiraz, to be honest. But now also with the Iberian focus with Mount Majura, moving more towards Tempranillo as well. I just think in Australia we do Shiraz from every which way. Like Shiraz is grown in pretty much most climates within the country of Australia, and it's awesome to see the many faces of. So I think that's pretty cool. I probably drink more Chardonnay and sparkling, but I love making Shiraz and reds in general.
I thought in Canberra you're growing Syrah.
Syrah, yes. No, not Shiraz, Syrah. Yeah.
Person, past or present, they'd love to have a bottle of wine with, and what bottle would you pick?
So I actually enjoy drinking wine with my father. So about my background. My father was a winery engineer growing up, so I grew up around wineries, which kind of helps. So early on in the piece, I knew what I wanted to do. So I'd probably want to drink with him, and in all honesty, drink something that we can both enjoy and taste and talk about, and just sit there and have a good time over a meal. I think that's the best thing about wine. Wine should be enjoyed with people and, evoke conversation.
Very good. Next one. Unique or ultimate food and wine pairing?
Well, I think pizza Sangiovese does do quite well, but I think that quintessential oyster and sparkles is like the duck's nuts.
Yeah.
Mum and Dad have recently moved to Batemans Bay, South Coast, so have now quite easily access to a lot of oysters. And, it's summer. What else are you going to drink? Sparkles. So, I think that whole sparkling and oyster kind of thing going on is pretty awesome.
Can't go past it.
No, it's pretty special.
Last one. Biggest lesson learned on your wine journey?
Just relax. Making wine isn't like surgery. No one's going to hopefully die in the process. So just chill. It's just making wine. I think wine has a sense of pomp around it sometimes, and a sense of high air. And I think, being a winemaker, you want to get it right. You don't want to make a mistake and then, have to suffer the consequences. But I think just making wine should be just chill. There is no rush. There is no hurry. The best wines are made with time. Patience.
I love that. That's the icebreaker questions.
Yeah, I love that you said that a lot of pomp. There's a lot of pomp around wine, and it's
there
not
shouldn't
about
be.
that.
Yeah.
No, that's great. Look, what we would like to do is understand your journey, and you shared a bit there. We kind of want to take it back to the start. What was it that made you get interested in wine? It's probably hard to avoid given your family background, but if you're thinking back to your childhood, did you know at the time you wanted to get into wine?
Yeah.
And what was it? Why?
Coming from an Italian background, you obviously grew up with a lot of wine.
Yeah.
I remember distinctly being fairly young and my grandmother dipping her bread in a glass of Lambrusco.
Oh.
Can I taste, Nonna? Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And then, obviously Dad being in industry, which is a large part of the, output of Griffith. Being around wineries most weekends when Dad was there doing what he was doing, and then eventually getting old enough, realising, there's wine in those tanks, so maybe we should go and have a look. And then just going on from there. So luckily enough, from an early age, I kind of knew what I wanted to do, and then obviously finished high school, was really good at chemistry and math. That kind of helped. And then moved to university, eventually doing a double degree in winemaking and viticulture, and then straight away wanted to travel overseas, because that was one of the allures early on when I was quite young. The ability to travel with the industry was pretty awesome. So I was lucky enough to then do a vintage in Griffith, which is quite warm, so relatively early.
Yeah.
Then went to Marlborough, did a vintage in Marlborough straight away after that. From there, went straight to the south of France, did a vintage in the Languedoc. From there, went to the Baden, did a vintage in South Germany, and then from there back to Griffith. So what's that, 5 or 6 vintages in a row in 1 year? I learnt a lot.
I thought that was multiple years. Okay,
all in the one season, and then soon thereafter was given the opportunity to become assistant winemaker at Calabria Family Wines, where I was there for 12 long years because it was cool, happy place. It's an awesome place to work. And then about 3 years ago, decided it was probably time for a bit of change. Ended up deciding to move to the Canberra district and working with Four Winds Vineyard for a year. Funny enough, I've been making wines out of the district for nearly a decade prior with Shaw Vineyards. So I was well versed with, the style and the sort of fruit profile of the district. And then soon thereafter moved over to Mount Majura, and this is my second season at Mount Majura. So pretty cool. I don't want to move ever again. I'm sick of moving.
I want to take it back to your double degree in both winemaking and viticulture. Was that something you done purposely? Because sometimes people just go, I want to do viticulturalist or a winemaker, but you pick both.
Yeah, 110%. I think for me, the ultimate goal eventually was to end up somewhere quite small. And generally, the smaller the business, the more you have your hands in a lot more parts of the business. So knowing that's where I was probably going to end up, I wanted to know that, there is two parts of winemaking. There's growing good fruit and there's making good wine. Growing good fruit's quite difficult because it is quite seasonally dependent. Making wine is basic. You add yeast, or even don't have to add yeast. It'll ferment and it'll make wine. Making good wine's the hard thing. So I just think having that all-round knowledge of the business, it's like yin and yang. You can't make good wine from poor fruit. So need to know both sides of the coin, I think.
And do you have brothers and sisters?
Yes, I have a brother. He also was in the industry, more as a cellar hand for a long time. And funnily enough, I was able to work with him when I was at Calabria. He was in the cellar and I was in winemaking. It's just, wine is such a large part of our background and stuff. So, and admittedly as well, in Griffith, he's a large part of the industry. So,
okay.
Yeah.
I was trying to work out, was it just you that caught the bug in the family?
No, all of us.
Your brother got into it.
All of us, yeah. So, no, it's pretty cool.
If you think about that experience, so obviously your education piece, the multiple vintages you've done overseas in the 1 year, and then working with Calabria and Terroir as well. So what were like 2 or 3 highlights from there where you thought that's really shaped the view on the wine that I want to make?
I think, the best thing about working at Calabria was the fact it was a large-scale winery in the general scheme of things. So there's the ability to see multiple vineyards, multiple fruit sources, multiple regions, multiple varieties. Like, it's an endless playground, basically. And obviously, being so young when I first started, it was a really good opportunity. I was given the reins to do some trials and muck around with some things, which is where you learn. Like I was saying before, making good wine is quite difficult. And I think making wine is like you have a tool belt, you have all your tools in your belt, options you can do and things you can change. It's about using the right tool and the right amount at the right time. Winemaking shouldn't be a recipe. It should be like, I like to sort of guide it in this way, but I think knowing how your tools work and what they do, when they need to be used, is really important. Hence, I was able to learn that at a larger scale winery because the options are limitless, which is pretty cool.
Yeah,
quite special.
So that was kind of your playground just to explore and find out what you like.
Yeah, exactly.
And so you've brought in 4 wines from Mount Majura for us to try, and we're going to try these wines, continue to ask you more questions. Yep. We might try the first wine. I'll just show it to the screen. It's a 2024 Chardonnay from Mount Majura. Any interesting stories about this Chardonnay?
So funnily enough, being with Calabria, and then for a short period of time as well, Calabria purchased McWilliams. And McWilliams, for me, were traditionally some of the best winemakers of Tumbarumba Chardonnay. So this is the only wine that we have in our range that comes from outside our vineyard. The rest will come from our small vineyards around the winery. And having the ability to then see all the different vineyards that they had access to was pretty special, because Tumbarumba isn't just one sort of square block. It's multiple different parts, multiple different elevations, and to a smaller degree as well, different clonal material. So having access to that knowledge was pretty handy. Then coming to Mount Majura, I knew pretty much exactly which vineyard I wanted to go and hunt down and look for. And so this fruit comes from the Johansson vineyard, and it's distinctly the Glenburnie block. And for me, Tumbarumba Chardonnay has this innate sort of granite, quartzy kind of feel to it. And like most expressions of Chardonnay, you either have a lot of buxom, you have a lot of power, and you build that up with, a bit more oak and a bit more texture, or you go the other kind of end of the spectrum, which is this kind of sits. It's almost that sort of bit more austere, a bit more shelly kind of style, which is what I prefer. I'm a winemaker, I'm an acid hound.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think it's a pretty cool expression of Tumbarumba Chardonnay.
It's got acid minerality, but feels like it does have texture and viscosity to it as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think for me, I like sparkles. I like tautness and tightness in Chardonnay, hence probably that style. So sometimes obviously listening to your podcasts with a few other guys on the way up, Chardonnay can be many faces, which I think is pretty cool. And, there's multiple tools we have as winemakers to try and show the best ability of that wine, that vintage, that block. And I think for me, Tumbarumba Chardonnay should be about the acidity. It should be about that sort of almost like decomposed seashell mineral kind of note, which is quite important, and an air of lightness, but not to the point where it's watery and, fading. But yeah, just an innate drinkability, really.
A lot of people talk about Tumbarumba, like the grapes particularly, because of the location is what makes it special. To you, what's so special about Tumbarumba?
Like I was saying before, with the sort of descriptors of that wine, it's that quartzy sort of granity feel you're getting with the acid and the tannin in the wine. I think, most people don't think of white wine, tannin being important in white wine. I really do think it is. It's a driving part of the acidity. And yeah, I think the cool thing about Chardonnay, you have probably more options to sort of modulate and sort of massage the wine. Whereas things like Riesling, which we make a lot of, especially also in the Canberra district, it's kind of a bit more one way, one dimensional. It's all about the fruit, quality of fruit, fermented generally in stainless steel, and it's quick to bottle. It's all about fragrance and aroma and, the sense of place and fruit. Whereas Chardonnay has a bit more sort of options to play with.
Where is Tumbarumba, by the way?
Tumbarumba is basically it's in the Alpine Valleys in New South Wales, so it's a fairly high altitude, which is where you get that sort of acid retention through.
If you look at Canberra, it's like a 45 minutes drive. Like,
no, it's a couple of hours.
Couple of hours.
Yeah, couple of drive. Yep. South of Canberra. So it's in the Snowy Valleys.
I always thought it was close, like what you were thinking there. Now, if we think about, we said it at the start, the Jimmy Watson Trophy. So you won that in 2024 for Shiraz. Were you expecting that? And did that open up more opportunities? Like, is it quite important to get that kind of accolade?
Yeah, I mean, it's just another thing to tick off on the career list, I suppose. It's just, I mean, admittedly, I do judge myself a fair bit, so I know what it's like to be on the other side of the coin, being the judge and sitting there tasting wine. And I think it's a pretty cool validation of, what I'm doing. Being a winemaker, sometimes you think to yourself, I have a bit of imposter syndrome here. Am I doing the right thing? Are people going to like my wine? That's just a bit of a validation. So yes, you are doing the right thing to peers, compared to peers. Peers think that the wine's good. But yeah, so it's a pretty cool thing to get a phone call like, hey, you won the Jimmy Watson. It's awesome.
Coming from an Italian family, a lot of relatives must be critics of your wine as well.
Right? Of course. All around the other way. Usually you get the old person, come taste my wine. It's literally made in a bucket with like bad winemaking, no yeast. Come taste my wine. And most of the time I'm sitting there smelling, this is really faulty, this is terrible. And then I drink it and I might scull it because then I'll just want to get rid of it. And you really like it? They pour you more. It's like, no. But that's the funny thing. Like wine, I think wine should be a communal thing. I think, that's the best thing about wine. It evokes conversation. And wine should always scream about a sense of place. Yeah. Whether it's made badly or not, should always have a sense of place.
I want to kind of circle back to your wine journey. So one of the next wine journey you're going on is also Len Evans. So congratulations, you're doing that in November. 2 parts on that one. What are you most looking forward to as part of that?
I just think the ability to taste wines that are just out of my wallet's grasp. I mean, admittedly, like wine show judging is a really good opportunity to sit there, more so during the day as well as in the evenings at the dinners, to sit there and just chat about wine with people who love wine. That's what I really enjoy. Obviously you can do that at work as well, but having that sort of collective experience from other people who have different experiences, different descriptors, because they have different, cuisines, whatever. Like, it's just awesome to learn all these things and just soak it all up.
Are there specific things you're looking to get out of it that will influence how you create your wine?
Just a more broad view of the world of wine. Like, obviously being Australian, we taste a lot of Australian wine, which is cool, but it's only a very small part of the world of wine. And like I said before, just having the opportunity to taste a large gamut of wine from A to Z from all over the world is pretty special. It's a pretty much in a once in a lifetime opportunity.
Yeah. One of the other winemakers says to make great wines, you have to taste great wines as well.
Exactly. 110%. You need to know what a great wine is before you can aspire to it.
What's the application process like to get into this? Because I'm imagining something like The Voice or Australian Idol where you send in a video, I'm Jeremy, and something really special needs to go. How do you apply for this thing?
So there's like a bunch of questions. I think it's like 4 or 5 questions that you need to answer, and basically it goes through a panel of industry heavyweights, you could say, that then review probably your standings, how much you provide to the industry.
Yeah.
So like, through judging per se.
Right.
And then from what I'm told, most of the time you have to apply for numerous years before you even get a look in. So
How many years did you apply for?
5.
Oh, okay.
5 or so.
Okay.
When you're busy, you may forget, and then you don't apply that year. But yeah, around about 5.
So when you got the yes, how did you feel?
Oh, it was pretty cool. I was at the shops with my kids, buying some milk and bread.
Buy some ice cream, kids. Let's celebrate.
Yeah. So no, it was pretty awesome. I kind of, in one small way, knew that I wasn't going to be too far away because I'm well through my career. But it was pretty awesome. Celebrated with a glass of champagne in the evening. It was awesome.
Yeah. It's great to have New South Wales represented in such a great part.
Yeah, there's a few New South Wales people in this year's scholars, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Now we have an opportunity to taste the next wine here, and we were saying that we're going to taste some different varieties that I've never had. I don't know if you've had this one before.
I haven't.
So I'll show it on camera. It's the 2024 Mondouse from Mount Majura. And so Iberian varieties?
No, it's from the Savoie in France. So,
wow.
The original idea behind this variety was probably twofold. There's obviously most people are speaking about the whole move away from larger framed, heavier red into more lighter framed, fragrant styles. So that was one part of the idea. Mondouse actually has relatively good flavour ripeness at low BOME, so low potential alcohol. And probably the second kind of thing is that sort of terroir aspect. So Mondouse traditionally is grown, the better examples are grown on limestone-based soils, which is what we kind of have at Mount Majura. So that was the other idea. The only annoying thing is it's super late. It ripens so late. So we start harvest usually early to mid-Feb with sparkling base. And this is like the first week of May.
Oh, wow.
So it makes vintage go quite long, but I think it's a pretty cool way that we can have a few different styles for most people's palates.
Then is there many people in Australia using this?
No, I think there's only literally 4 or 5, if that. So it's quite obscure. For me, like I have only obviously been working now for 2 seasons, and I see it more like the tannins a bit more like Refosco, like quite bitter cherry, and in a good way, slightly Amaro. But the fruit juiciness and profile in the mid palate's almost like a cooler climate version of Nero Diavola. So that's how I kind of explain it to people, and most people probably go, "What are you talking about?" But yeah, it's just a cool, hip little wine. Again, we can get it ripe at that 13% alcohol, which is awesome.
It's got a very unique scent and flavor, which I'm trying to pinpoint. It's
Alpine
almost like
herb. I call it alpine herb. Almost like pine needle.
Yeah, when you're saying that. Yeah.
Any oak on this, or is it just
No. So it's raised in 100% neutral wood.
right with that bitterness, like kind of blood orange kind of style, but it's still very linear in terms of
bright and direct.
Very direct. It's not kind of broad.
Yeah. Just a smashable little red.
Oh, very nice. Mount Majura. So you took over from Frank Dillert after 25 years. How did that feel like?
That was pretty awesome. I'd known Frank through the industry for a little bit, and the opportunity came up. It was pretty hard to refuse. So Frank had been there from basically day dot. So a bit of history about Mount Majura. So Dr. Edgar Reek, he was the original founder of basically wine growing in the Canberra district. He originally approached the original landholder, which is Ginny Kaleem, to say, you've got a pretty cool aspect, pretty cool soil profile here, you should plant grapes. So I think it was 1988, so late 80s, they planted what most people were planting back then, Pinot, Chardonnay, and a few Bordeaux varietals. And then Frank came on with the business in the late 90s. And then now it's grown to near 15 hectares with probably more of a premium focus on Iberian varieties, because we see there's a lot of similarities between the Ribera del Duero to where we are, especially in the warmer years, but also doing like the district stalwarts. So we're doing really good Riesling, really good Syrah, and also really good sparkling as well. So we have, like I mentioned before, we have limestone within the vineyard, so hence pretty conducive to awesome sparkling making as well.
Was he one of the real pioneers in the Canberra district? Like, were there many wineries at the time when he was setting this up?
No, so I think Clonakillas started potentially in the late 70s, I think it was. So like it was pretty pioneering back then to say, let's go do wine growing. Admittedly now, the good thing about Mount Majura is probably back then it was probably far from the city. Now it's pretty much on the outskirts of the city. So I think for us, we're quite lucky the fact that we are in a back end of the Madura Valley. So we're actually on fairly steep soils. And obviously in Canberra district, frost risk is a pretty large problem during spring. So I think I worked it out the other day. We're sitting on like a 13% rough average gradient on the vineyard. So fairly steep, which we need to try and drain cold air away, which is quite important. So I think over time people would have realised that eventually you need to plant somewhere a bit higher to try and get away from the frost risks and things like that. So yeah.
When you got given the keys, after 25 years, is there a responsibility you feel now to kind of take that on?
110%. I mean, I think if the wheel ain't broken, don't fix it. It doesn't need to be fixed. Probably just more putting my little tiny touch on things. I think, for us, Mount Majura, Tempranillo is our sort of shining star. We make 3 different single block iterations of Tempranillo, and then we have a sort of 3 block blend of Tempranillo. And obviously now we've turned into other things like Graciano as well, which is planted in Rioja. And then this season, 2025, was the first year we actually got fruit off new block of Menthia and Albariño, which is pretty cool. So yeah, just having that sort of Iberian focus is pretty cool.
What are those little touches you're looking to put onto the wines?
Just a sense of place and a brightness. I think, people these days don't particularly want to be drinking those heavier styles of wine, not all the time. So I think having a sense of brightness and energy in the wine is pretty important as well. And I think, for me, wine should be enjoyable now, but also have the ability to age. And I think working in a cool climate, we have that natural acidity. So hence ageability as well.
You mentioned Graciano, and we've got an opportunity to try that here. It's a 2024 Graciano from Mount Majura, and I originally thought it was a Grenache, just pronounced different.
Garnacha.
Yeah.
But it's not.
No, it's not. So generally in the Rioja, so Tempranillo itself generally has low natural acidity, and Graciano is the opposite. So it's almost like a screwdriver for Tempranillo. It's a natural acid addition. So Tempranillo has low acidity and generally high tannin. Graciano, relatively high acidity and lowish tannin. So for us at Mount Majura, we actually encapsulate that real sort of whole bunchy pepper kind of thing going on with the wine. It's pretty cool.
Bit of spice, but still quite elegant.
As I would say in Iberian, Graciano, is it?
Mm-hmm. You need the lips to make it sound more authentic.
So I'll show it on the screen. 2024 Graciano Mount Majura. So what made this push to plant this kind of variety?
I think there is a definite focus on our site and where obviously, the elephant in the room, climate change is moving. So moving towards varieties that are suitable to our site and suitable to our climate and where the climate's going. That's the major idea. And also having a sort of a story to tell as well, I think is really important. Most wineries can have whatever varieties they want to. We have an Iberian-ish focus, which is pretty cool for us.
Is that unique in the Canberra district?
Well, I think so, yes.
Yeah, okay.
I think so.
Okay.
I mean, we all in the district do Syrah and Riesling quite well, but having a alternative focus is pretty much what we do at Mount Majura.
Yeah, okay.
So you're doing the blends as well, like Tempranillo and Graciano and stuff?
Yeah, so a tiny bit of Graciano will go in the Tempranillo and vice versa. Obviously small enough amounts that they need to be put on the label, but we also have our sort of next one after those is our TSG. So it's a Tempranillo Shiraz Graciano, and that sells like hotcakes in Canberra.
Why is that? That's delicious.
Yeah, I think it's a juicy red with a bit of structure from the Tempranillo. And I think Frank's original idea was to have a multi-varietal blend that really sung about the sense of place at Mount Majura. And that's where it was born.
I'm thinking about Mount Majura, and I feel like on my drive down from Costco or IKEA, it was on the right-hand side. And I got this.
Yeah,
I got that right.
110%. Yeah. We're basically in town, which is pretty handy considering I live in Canberra.
Yeah.
And the kids go to school literally 5 minutes across the hill. But yeah, like it's a really good spot to be.
Because of Costco, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, cheap fuel. But I think like being so close to town, we are one of the more thoughtful destinations when people think wine in Canberra.
Yes.
And obviously being on the way to the snow is really handy as well. So people might pop in, grab some wine for their snow trip as well, which is pretty cool.
That's when we went to Costco. Yeah.
There you go.
You're right.
There you go. So yeah, no, it's pretty awesome spot. It's a pretty awesome spot at all.
And so you kind of touched on it, I feel like, but is there the uniqueness of the site? I mean, you were talking about aspect. If we talk about specific soils, is there something more unique about the Mount Majura site than any others in the Canberra district?
I think what I've noticed being there for 2 seasons that we're actually quite cool compared and quite a little bit more elevated compared to the rest of the sort of winemaking hub in Murray-Bateman.
Oh.
So we're about 2 weeks behind most guys in Murray-Bateman, and we're probably sitting about 50 to 70 metres higher in altitude.
So how high is that though?
So the bottom of the block's sitting at about 660, 670, and top of the block about 720,
Right.
thereabouts.
Okay.
So yeah, we use that ability to our advantage. So obviously in the warmer years where you're getting probably more deeper, darker fruit expressions over towards Murray-Bateman, we're probably a bit more on the sort of more ethereal end of that spectrum, which is pretty cool. So I think moving forward with the way climate change is moving, we're probably pretty well geared, which is pretty cool.
Feels like you're doing a lot, like Tempranillo, Graciano, Touriga Nacional, Mencia, Albariño. Is it Paraletta as well?
Paraletta, yes, Paraletta as well.
There's a lot there on your plate.
There is.
Is that what you're still going to be doing? Are you going to
Yeah, I
kind of
think so.
refine a bit more? Or is the right balance at the moment?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think like most things in wine businesses, things take time and you have to do things properly because you don't just plant grapes and then the next year you make wine out of it. It takes a long time, and so you have to be quite thoughtful. And then the other thing with a lot of these alternate varieties, they take time to come into Australia. So there's a lot of biosecurity checks and balances you need to meet before you can get the varieties in. So we're currently looking at a couple other little varieties to bring into the country, and it's taking upwards of 7 or 8 years to get the vines into the country.
Yeah.
Then it'll take a few more years to get the vines cloned, mass planted. Then it'll take us 3 years to plant them, train them, get a first crop. And, you know, most grape vines don't really produce their best kind of fruit until maybe like 8 years plus. So it's a long-winded process.
So what else are you bringing in then?
We're looking at Loureiro, which is part of Vinho Verde in Portugal.
Yeah.
And we're also looking at Altesse, which is the white grape of the Savoie. So matching with Mondeuse.
So Savoie is French, is it? Or
Yes, yep.
which part of France?
Central East France. Not in the middle of France, but like on the side.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, how do you spell Savoie?
S-A-V-O-I-E.
Is it part of Loire or no? Is it part of Loire?
No, Loire's the other side.
Central. Okay, central.
Oh, it's probably, eastern part in the middle of France. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool.
Ah, okay.
Now, if we think about Canberra, we know Syrah is what it's most known for, is the way I see it.
Yeah, Shiraz and Riesling.
And Riesling as well. And so we got an opportunity to try 2024 Shiraz here. If we think about this, is this the classic style of Shiraz that you'd be used to from Canberra, or is there something different about it?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, for me, working with Canberra Syrah over the years, I think there's been a real big sort of push in a way to try and keep things a bit more lighter ended. So this was picked relatively lower in Beaumay, so it's only sitting about 13.5% alcohol. It's more about showcasing the sort of prettiness and etherealness of that Syrah or Shiraz can sort of show. So choosing to use a little bit of whole bunch fermentation as well to get that sort of bit of stalky iodine kind of note going on in the wine. But then, you know, I'm a big sort of, especially with Shiraz, it's really important to try and extract tannin and body out of the fruit. So I tend to like to really pump over quite hard, which is quite aerative and sort of, in a way, rough kind of way of trying to get tannin out of the fruit for the first probably 2/3 of the wine. And then as the alcohol builds, then you are extracting more and more tannin because alcohol is a solvent for tannin. And then probably the last third of fermentation, move that away, move to hand plunging, which is quite gentle, which is really important to sort of get gentle phenolics down the back end of the palate.
I love this Shiraz Syrah. I think this is my favorite one, actually. It's very pretty, elevated. It's got that kind of wood, kind of black tea, herbal kind of elements to it. Like it feels, I don't know, if I talk about layers, I feel the layers really in this wine.
Yeah, 110%. I mean, I think it also sings about the place where we are.
Yeah.
We're relatively cool. So it's kind of showcasing what we do at Mount Majura.
Tannins are still present, but still quite soft on there. So
Yeah.
that's delicious. If we think about to the broader New South Wales community, Canberra district, visiting the area, what's the draw cards? Like, where do you like to go eat? Where do you like to go see in Canberra if people want to visit the area?
I mean, for me, growing up in a very much Italian-centric town of Griffith, now having the ability to eat Southeast Asian food is awesome. Because I never really had that opportunity growing up in Griffith. So, funny enough, when we go out to eat, my wife and my kids, we go to Vietnamese a lot. Just because the fact it's still new for us in a way, and it's just awesome food, and it goes with most wine as well.
Yep.
I mean, I think we used to come to Canberra when my wife and I, when we were like 18, 19. It was the big smoke, go to Canberra. And back then, the food and sort of coffee scene in Canberra was pretty ordinary. In the past, probably 15 years, it has gone leap and bounds forward. So it's pretty awesome. There's hatted restaurants. There's multiple places to go eat and see and do. It's really cool. Really, really cool place. And like I said before, like there's the opportunity to go to the coast, to the snow. It's just close to Sydney. It's a pretty cool spot.
I guess we spoke about Mount Majura, but in terms of the Canberra district, what's the identity, do you think, around Canberra district wines?
I think the two sort of district stalwarts, Riesling and Shiraz, and, to a point as well with Clonakillo, Shiraz Viognier, tends to be the sort of draw cards for people coming to the district. But there's also many different sort of little microclimates in the district. So you have the main sort of winemaking centre around Murray Bateman, who also have a few little different microclimates, from cooler to warmer. You have the around Lake George area, which has a bit of a cooling effect on the vineyards there, and they're actually really steep as well, probably steeper than what we are at Mount Majura. And then you have us, the only winery in ACT, by ourselves over sort of down the highway a bit, which is pretty cool. So, and you also have Bungendore as well, which is another little microclimate, quite cool there as well. So there is many different places to see and do, and different styles of wine to try in the Canberra district, which is pretty awesome.
Do you know approximately how many different wineries are there?
They're 40 odd.
So not many, right? It's still quite small.
Still quite small, but the funny thing is I still get so where do you work? What do you do? I'm a winemaker in Canberra. They make wine in Canberra? I said, yeah, there's a vineyard next to the Parliament House and the politicians come and pick. Really? I get them going for about 5 minutes before they say, no, I'm just joking. But people still don't know that there's actually really good booze coming out of Canberra District, so it's pretty awesome.
I just believed you for a second there. I was like, really? I didn't know that.
I believe the politicians are drinking a lot of the wine.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, things take time.
And if we think about the broader New South Wales region, obviously you're born and raised in Griffith. Are there any other, outside of Canberra district, are there any other wines that you'd like to taste and recommend to people?
I think all regions have their better examples. It just depends what kind of wine you like. So obviously growing up in Griffith, the major premium focus there was Drift. Because it does well in the climate. So I think if you're going to go somewhere, do some research online. What is the region known for? And then go and try those examples, because I think trying to grow Durif per se in Canberra district wouldn't work because it's not warm enough. So trying to taste the districts or the region's best examples of those varieties where you can really hone in, because most people will have the best understanding of those varieties in that district. So it's quite important.
Yep, got it. With probably towards the tail end, we could ask about the future. Have you got any other questions that you wanted to ask?
No, I'm good, thanks.
The future with Mount Majura, anything exciting coming up? You've talked about a few different varieties. Anything else you want to call out?
Another Jimmy Watson? No.
Another Jimmy Watson?
I think just optimizing and honing in and sort of working with what Frank had done in the past. Again, it's only been 2 seasons, and I think personally you need at least 4 or 5 seasons under your belt at a certain winery, working with certain blocks to you fully understand, because you need to see the cooler seasons and the warmer seasons and then everything in between. And then eventually you start to build that up in your mind. So I was lucky enough at Cladbury, I saw 12 seasons. So I knew eventually, I know what this is going to be like. I remember what I did last time. I might tweak a little bit this time. So it's an ever-evolving process. And at Mount Majura, we're not standing still. We're looking to innovate with different varieties that are suited to our climate and our vineyard, and just do it right, do it properly.
Yeah, got it. Now, we are here to talk about New South Wales wine as well. Is there any specific events Mount Majura is sharing during that period?
We actually did an event today at Carriageworks.
Yep.
Bringing Mount Majura wines with many other wineries to Sydney. Yeah, so I mean, at the moment we're also doing truffle tastings at the winery, which is pretty cool. So we have a truffle farm next door.
Oh, wow.
To our winery. So we pull out some wines from the late 90s, early 2000s to have with triple cream brie that's been infused with truffle for 2 days.
Wow, that sounds
awesome.
decadent. Yeah.
How awesome. I think it's just that whole play of the sort of earthiness of truffle goes well with the earthiness of, super aged wine. It's pretty cool.
That's awesome. So, look, I think New South Wales wine, like we said, the month is November. If everyone gets a chance, go check out what's on newsouthwaleswine.com.au. Look at the events there. There's going to be a tasting or a masterclass or something to do. And the 8th and 9th of November, also the Sydney Cellar Door. Go check out the 40 plus wineries that are going to be there. They'll be from all over the state, including Canberra district. So it's super exciting.
Go support New South Wales, right?
Go support New South Wales. Absolutely. We're going to wind it up here. Did you have any last messages you wanted to share with our
more New South Wales wine? No, I think here in Sydney, people are fairly travelled and they understand wine quite well. The funny thing is, in New South Wales, we produce about a third of Australia's wine, yet only about 13% of people's wine lists in Sydney have New South Wales wine. So I think we are competing with other regions in Australia, which is it's fair, it's fine. But I think get out and try New South Wales wine, because I think there is, like I mentioned before, there's the A to Z. There's warmer climate material, there's cool climate material, and there's everything in between. Make a day, make a weekend of it, because we have such a diverse array of wines coming out of the state that maybe most people haven't heard of. Obviously, most people in Sydney understand the Hunter. It's close, sure. But there's also Orange and Tumbarumba and Canberra District and then all the way out to the Riverina as well. So there's
Hilltops as well.
Hilltops, exactly, near Young. So there's many different places that people can go visit and do a weekend away for wine.
Yeah. No, great message. Jeremy, thanks for joining us. Trent, did you have any last reflections?
Last reflections is at the start you said, oh, you're easy and relaxed. But I don't think you're really like that. I think you mentioned imposter syndrome, but, I think you're quite methodical, analytical, and quite thoughtful in your winemaking as well. And, I don't think you're an imposter. I think you're making fantastic wines and you kind of know that as well.
Yeah,
so keep doing what you're doing.
They just want to make sure they're good.
Yeah.
Putting a smile on someone's face with a glass of wine is probably the ultimate goal, really. So
anyway, I look forward to the future in terms of what you can do in Mount Majura.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, I think the accolades kind of speak from themselves in terms of Jimmy Watson and now this. I'm really honoured to kind of try the different range from Mount Majura. I do feel like there's a distinct identity for Mount Majura and for the Canberra district, and super excited to see the new varieties that are coming out and the opportunity to taste that. That's probably us from the wind up here. Check out Mount Majura wines. Jeremy, thank you once again. As we like to say here, drink more, try more, learn more. Thanks all.